Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of congregational humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome.
It's probably appropriate to say happy Pride to many of our queer friends in the space. One thing's for certain, I'll take it as a collective co-creation of family that I was promised. So I'd love to think about it, and I'm glad that we have anyone in here who is a part of that family, who is a part of that community, that you are beloved and you are welcomed in this space. I will just say that even though there's probably one little small sorrow, is that actually David is not here. And many of you probably noticed that today. David was not well earlier this week and asked me to step in. And so I'm grateful for him entrusting me with y'all. I promise we'll get through the day. all in one piece. But yeah, just send some thoughts his way. But he is fine. I've been checking on him every day and like, what's going on, Pop? How we doing? That's how we talk. If y'all haven't ever heard me, he's Pop and Kelly is Auntie Kelly. If you get that address, then that is an actual moment that I have literally owned you as family. So I got a few cousins in here too. So listen for those names every once in a while. That's how we create family. That's how queer people create family. They find not only belonging, but they find becoming. And so I want to invite you, if I will, to the concept of revolutionary mothering. Jacob, we can start with the slides. And I want to read this in your hearing. This is a poem by Lucille Clifton called The Time. It says the following: "It is hard to remain human on a day where birds perch weeping. In the trees and the squirrel's eyes do not look away, but the dog ones do in pity. Another child has killed a child, and I catch myself relieved that they are white. And I might understand, except I'm tired of understanding. If this alphabet could speak its own tongue, it would be all symbols, surely. The cat would hunch across the long table, and that would mean time is catching up. And the spindlefish would run to the ground, and that would mean that the end is coming. And the grain of dust would gather themselves along the streets and spell out, this and these too are our children. This too is your child." I really like this poem by Lucille Clifton because there's a very important clause that most of you heard and responded to. She says here that another child has killed a child, and she goes as far as to say, I catch myself relieved that they are white, but I might understand, except I'm tired of understanding. There's a moment of conviction, moral conviction, she engages us with for this poem. She brings us into an understanding that honestly, I think most of us sit with when we lean into our own human empathy, that we deeply care for each other and that we deeply hold each other with high regard and with very good reverence, if you will. As someone who came from and brought up in the Pentecostal tradition within Richmond, Virginia, I can honestly say that it was very unique to think about going to a building every day and wondering where I belong. Multiple reasons would suggest that I belong because my mother went to the church. Most would suggest that I belong because my grandparents in some aspects were preachers too. And so I come from a long lineage of preachers. And some would suggest that you belong because your skin is brown. It's interesting to me, though, that's not what creates belonging. And so I charge us today with a revolutionary mothering that actually allows for us to look at the works of maybe a few people who we probably are familiar with and unfamiliar with. Next slide, Jacob. Dr. James Cone presents this. He is the father of Black liberation theology from Union Theological Seminary, and may he rest in power. But he reminds us of something regarding congregational life. He says that congregations have gotten away from their primary mission. Let me go a little bit further with that. He continues with this phrase in saying that one of the things that the congregations need to ask themselves is, what is its mission? I think one of the things that that congregations have done is that they are really good at understanding their mission, but they have lost it. That's fascinating. The congregations are good at preaching, good at singing, good at a lot of things, but congregation has not been good at thinking about all the time its nature and how its mission pertains to the future. If its mission is primarily about caring for people's souls, or if it's about caring for people's bodies, or is it both together? I think if you see them both together, I think you will see that congregations can be political, because politics is a part of life, he says. It has also been concerned about caring for people's souls, because full meaning in life is not found in politics, nor is it found in science. I'd like to emphasize that if congregations have one problem, it needs to think about whether it is called to save its life or if it is called to lose its life for the sake of others. This is probably a very interesting critique because some of us here in our space have experienced maybe religious institutions from various spectrums. And so when we talk about belonging, I introduce the idea of congregation as a symbol to mothering, if I may, because of the very nature of it thinking, and from the positive standpoint of what does it mean to foster, nurture, and offer care. Now, this critique doesn't often go to many predominantly white liberal congregations, but we are suffering at a fast pace of technological world, right? So we've got a whole technology that is building, and we've got to stay relevant. We've got to stay involved. We have to become more concerned about serving even those things that are unfamiliar to us. We are deep in inquiry, and as a result, we have to consider young people. We have to consider the Black and brown. We have to consider the indigenous. We have to consider the global majority and things that we are unfamiliar with. Unless we actually look beyond these things, we have done ourselves a great disservice. Metaphorically, we still have folk in our space today that are in wrapping paper because they're not allowed to fully present or fully show up because, in the words of our dear Kelly Clemens, basically everyone is welcomed, right? Everyone is welcome and welcome to do it, right? But this excludes, right? You got to do it like we do it. You've got to do it like we do it. You've got to do it like FUS does it. You got to do it like the humanist does it. You've got to do it in the way that I grew up in it. And I know that's not necessarily our intention, but sometimes we get stuck in causing people who actually came as a gift to never unwrap. So what does that mean? What does it mean for us to consider what does the it You're welcome to do it. You're welcome to do the liturgy the way we do it. You're welcome to have the leadership the way that we have it. You're welcome to consider our governance the way that it has been done. And you're welcome to establish relationships in the way that feel most meaningful and comfortable for us. It's quite a critique, if you will, but I offer it because I know that we are willing to do more and do better. We have done an incredible job learning and unlearning languages. Maybe we are curbing habits and dismantling the policies. And furthermore, we are using various thinkers to point out social and systemic organizational injustices. And somehow, we're still not uprooted out of some of our behaviors. It is because we have hidden ourselves in congregations that are more like-minded, instead of actually tapping into some folks who probably need some like-heartedness. It's okay for us to be great thinkers, but how do we become filled with deep passion? We can attempt to read our way out of racism, as you have heard me say. We can use literature to placate off of liberation, and we can collect a bunch of degrees to camouflage our discrimination, and we can apply educational facades to prove that we are embodied of an emancipation. We can do all those things. And at the end of the day, we are still so far removed. The tough pill to swallow for most congregations, and most particularly white liberal congregations, is that they are seeking to grow and develop and actualize healthy practices. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to the brilliant baby boomers who have done the work, who have really opened up the canon and said, hey, we need to revisit things. And I want to say thank you because you have been socially and intellectually inclined to map out ways of progress. But may I offer this? As you've been pushing on the barriers, unfortunately, the progress turns into a white liberal pedigree. And that pedigree creates an unequal social standing because not everybody's cut from the same pedigree. And unfortunately, generations and people of diversity and various arrays of life are losing interest in congregational formation. Let me show you a little something. Jacob, give me that slide there. More than 1 in 4 American adults identify as religious nuns, meaning they consider themselves to be atheists, agnostic, or nothing in particular according to the National Pure Forum, right? So when we understand that about ourselves, according to the new data, 28% of Americans classify themselves as nuns. 17 of them identify as atheists, and 20% are agnostic, and 63 are nothing in particular. Check this out. Most nuns are people who were raised in a religious environment. Next slide. Here is my invitation for this community here. We are 3 generations behind. Don't tell me that, Jay. I've been here all my life. I got the new cell phone. Might I invite you to consider what Dr. Kia Conway is trying to invite us to? She says that we are 3 generations behind. She gathers this information from David Kinnaman. David Kinnaman was actually doing work on what's called Mosaic, where he is studying particularly congregational life. And he explains something that's very essential to our congregational formation. Let me just remind you what Lucille Clifton said. These are our children too, so keep that in the back of your mind. Millennials will be the first not to engage their children in ceremony or ritual. So I'm a millennial. I began to break the rules already. And y'all already know me. Right? So if I'm breaking rules, here it is. Millennials are ranged from, and Jacob, you can show them the slide here, ranged from 1981 to 1996, the very end of apartheid. And then Gen Z is 1997 to 2012. And then you've got Generation Alpha, which is largely uncongregational. Okay? So the real question that I'm going to ask you is, how do we wrap our arms around 3 generations? I'll say that again, First Unitarian. How do we wrap our arms around 3 generations? And I know you're like, well, the baby boomers aren't on here. And Generation X is not on here. Let's add more, right? How do we wrap our arms around this kind of community? It is not about our position philosophically or theologically, but how do we help people grapple with humanity in this time when things are radically changing? Can we maintain the pedigree of Puritanism, classisms, elitisms, white cultural norms? Can that still be maintained? I will hate to say it, but I don't think so. We have to begin to expand what our hug, what our holding looks like. When we think about it, I want to see in this moment, really fast, if I can get a show, can I get one millennial to raise their hand? Who knows they're millennial? All right, come on. All right, yes, Molly, come here to the front. Come on down, Price is Right. I want us to see this. I want us to see this. I would like for somebody within 1997 to 2012. Mage. Look at what you got in your congregation. I need you to see what you got, because it's already brewing. It's been starting. But right now, Generation Alpha. Can I borrow that little one if one of y'all can walk her up? There we go. Yeah. Both of y'all. Come on. So look, I need you to see a visual of this, because if you can't see a visual of this, you don't really realize how important this is. I want you to just see that this is your future. Can you say, this is my future? Yeah, this is why we do this, right? And I need us to see this because we've got to prepare for it's not about having service on Sunday as much as it's about how will this go out in the world, holding our families, holding our emerging adults, holding all of these and cradling through the life that they live. Now, I know congregational life probably different from Molly. My goal when I grew up was to ensure, after my congregational experience, because I knew not everybody I was going to be off the cusp anyway. My goal was to pass the baton on to the next person, to say, hey, I want you to take what I know, which is community was valuable in congregational life. What is one thing, Molly, that you would give to the next generation besides you, which is Mage?
I would give music and singing.
For my internet family, I just want to let you know, Molly said music and singing. So thank you, Molly. Mage. Now, your generation Z, right? Gen Z. So here we go.
The oldest.
Right.
The very oldest.
And this is very interesting. So you have a different cusp.
Yeah. They used to call me cusp millennial versus.
That's the hybrid version.
Yeah. I remember dial-up, I remember VHS tapes, but I also had the internet and I had social media. So it's good.
Oh, thank you, George. Come on, see?
Oh, okay. No.
George, you're Generation X, right? Look, George is handing the mic over, but right, that's the baton. So what do you pass on to my Gen Alphas?
The importance of togetherness. That's always a huge one that I tell with my baby siblings and with my nieces and nephews, is being together with people. And so much of my generation and younger is isolating a lot. We're very much living like singular lives of individuals not really connecting with other people. So the beauty of this kind of space is being together with people who are different than you, people who are like you, but being in community.
Come on.
The practice of community.
I see somebody needs to do my job soon. That goes back. And do we see how that moves? I was interested in community. Molly was interested in eliciting the gift of someone. And now here it is, a Gen Z is now going to probably pour in and say, we need to get from the isolated and come back from our individualism and come back into community again. Y'all can have a seat. Thank you so much. Next slide. Just the big top part right here. They really don't like organized religion. Right? Nuns do not like organized religion. But here, we are hearing that there's a need for organized communities. An organization is different than community organizing. And I want us to think about that for a few minutes. Next slide. So, what can First Unitarian do? How can this be adjusted? I won't be before you too much longer. We've got to look at our mothership complex. Motherships are like Starship Enterprise, right? Everything happens here. We have all things. We do everything. We own it. That's our voice, right? And it has all of these kind of matrix of domination, oppressive lenses, because it stifles. Well, what can I do? Where do I fit? How can I get involved? Most folk with a mothership complex will say no before they say yes. Most people with a mothership complex won't even ask you to explain. And we have to be mindful of that. There's a criteria to discredit the inherited worth, and sometimes the worthiness of others. How long have you been here? We don't do it this long. We don't do it this way. There's more individualism. You belong to me. You're my member. Don't go leaving. You'll never find another humanist congregation like us. I'm sure you won't. It's only one in Minneapolis. We're the birthplace. We're the beacon. And I'm like, no, we're beyond belief. We're a community. I love that. Don't get me wrong, but it has a texture for some of our friends. And they want to know what's happening here. Right? It's designed for imperial offspring. My children did it, so you're going to do it. I did it, you're going to do it. That organizational wealth and knowledge You can't sit on the board unless you've actually been here long enough, right? That's a tease. So how do we get to mothering? Mothering is very interesting because mothering says, I'm going to create with you. I'm going to be a co-guardian with you in this process. I want to see you win. And you don't have to do what we're doing in the way we've done it. But I want to figure out how can I affirm you and support the way that you move in the world? How can I elicit your talents? How can I get into your ideas and your intellect? How can I bridge build so that we can all relate? We look at mothering congregations, look at the human condition, and engage in human flourishing. And we are after that. Next. June Jordan says, mothering is creation and love and life and a power useful. I love June Jordan. So why do I bring this up? Because if we're going to do a little bit more mothering, we have to consider this building as the brick and mortar somewhat as a body, if you will. You've probably heard some references regarding other institutions that sound like bodies, but we won't do that with this one. I really mean this symbolically, that there is a body of work that we have in our in this particular society. That the body of work is rooted in the possibility of development and impact. So let's ask these questions. What is our style? What is the mission? What is the quality and the capacity of our service? Oftentimes in white liberal congregational spaces, we realize that some folk will be like, I did it, I served on this, and I did that, and I'm done. And they can walk away. So we have to look at our capacity because now things require a lot more attention and care and tarrying. Tarrying is probably a unique word, but with tarrying, you actually dwell with someone for a little while longer than maybe your comfort level. We have to also consider the body of relationship. Is the capacity and the connection that strengthens the growth of community and congregations? Is it there? We're located on Mount Curve. Are we reaching over north? Are we reaching over in Loring Park? Are we reaching further down to Uptown? Thank you. I was getting confused, like, hold on, that's my south, right? The idea is that when we have a body of work and a body of relationship, these two are essential for the operation that this particular congregation, that it actually could be a movement, exhibits a function and a fellowship for people to find themselves. Everybody say function and fellowship. Function and fellowship. That's your job when you come here. Check that out. The body of relationship reveals a curation of culture care and fostering a meaningful life. Next slide. I think that would be it, right? So, if we're going to foster, here is some interesting statistic that we should know. Religious institutions in the U.S. value $1.2 trillion. So check this. Most of congregations are going through what most of them are going through, this kind of phrase here, where they are focusing on fixing leaky roofs. Talk to Tim, right? He knows all about it, and aims to, keep the doors open at any cost. So what are things that people have been doing? They've been redirecting money from struggling churches to empower, focused groups, social justice groups. They've also been ensuring that institutions have longer legacy and lead with the future. That is what proper congregational mothering can do. It doesn't just happen in here, it actually outsources itself to realize that it has a greater call, a greater impact. And so it just doesn't happen here on Sunday. I'm very fascinated. I love to see when some of our friends are here during the week besides LoveWorks. Because what I get to see is I get to see people engaging in those community connections that are valuable and essential for ensuring that we actually have not only healthy membership, but allows for us to actually implant growth and deep and meaningful connections outside of here. Next slide, Jacob. Thank you. What we have here is I really appreciate Reverend Amy Butler, where she says, there are people doing the stuff that we do. I'll repeat that again. There are people doing the stuff that we do. We just don't call it congregation because it's not in the pew. We see numbers that will dwindle. We see the challenges that the state of affairs that we are in. But I want to remind us that we are not just a birthplace, and we are not just a beacon, but we are a congregation beyond belief, seeking to hold multiple generations that hold various stories and insights. And it's our job to offer the nurturing, the creative flourishing around how they will grow and develop. So I invite you to think about when you come here, why every day, every Sunday, it is vital and imperative that you are here. Why you really do matter when you come here. Whose life you might touch, whose glass slipper you might be holding because they lost it along the way. Everybody wants to sometimes fit, but we got sneakers in here instead of sometimes glass slippers, and we got some Crocs. Happy Sunday to y'all.
Thanks for listening. You can find much more about humanism and what's happening at First Unitarian Society in Minneapolis by visiting our website at firstunitarian.org.